All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Inside In Tennis Podcast. Mitch Michals here. This show is all part of the Believe Network. Tons of great content, and you can find this show on all your podcast platforms as well. We're into the month of November. A lot of great tennis, a lot of great content all across the board, and an opportunity with the season winding down to talk to some special people in and around the game. First time on the show, I'm really excited to talk to this person. 17 times I went and fact-checked and counted all 17 of her majors. She's a member of the International Tennis Hall of Fame, two-time gold medalist, and was selected as the Puerto Rican Athlete of the Century, the 20th century. Gigi Fernandez, welcome to the show, Gigi. It's pretty cool to talk to you. Thanks for coming on.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So how we doing so far? I know it's we'll get into the history and everything, but how's your year going? I know we were talking beforehand based on the East Coast. How are things as the year's winding down for you in Florida as you kind of gear up for another year go around?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really busy right now. I started a foundation after my house flooded last year during the Florida hurricanes, and we're like going full board right now. You know, Jamaica got destroyed, as you saw, and there's a girl in our tennis community, Sophie Nadich, who is born and raised in the St. Elizabeth township where the eye of the hurricane hit. So we're raising some money for her. She's going to go back there in a couple of weeks and bring supplies. Her brother's in the search and rescue team, so she's pretty connected down there, and we're just trying to figure out what we can do. So we're very, very busy here at Tennis for Hope. We have a lot of grant applications and planning some fun things for next year, and so yeah, keeps me really busy.
When you started, because it's funny you said the word community, but when you started playing tennis in Puerto Rico, and we'll get into it, but kind of discovering the game on your own, it was a lot of isolation. But now you're, I don't want to date how exactly old you are, but you've been around the game for so long.
Ask a lady that.
I didn't ask you. I'm just saying it's been a while.
I was 61.
Yeah, you're a public figure, a celebrity, so it's easy to find this out. But do you find it, fascinating and pretty cool that tennis, which started out isolated for you, has just become this huge community now? It's like a group teamwork type thing.
Yeah, what's been the most fascinating thing to me, you when you retire from tennis, like I think tennis, I mean, this might be controversial, but I think that tennis does a terrible job of welcoming back its past champions. Like once you leave the game, you're kind of forgotten and off you go. If you're like me, you end up getting voted into the Hall of Fame, then I think you're back in the good graces. But that's, one of my missions in the Hall of Fame is to like change that, to give you an example, like the first time I went to the US Open and I was not a player or player guest and I had to go to the bathroom, I had to go stand in line outside court 7 bleachers and go. And this is 4 years after I retired, right? So I was still recognizable. What's been really thrilling for me is to have a full, not just one career, but 2 or maybe 3 careers as a tennis person. And it's lifelong. Tennis is we talk about how tennis is a lifelong game, and you can play for your whole life, but in our case, when we play at this high level, it's like a lifelong career, passion, endeavor. And now with Tennis for Hope, what I'm finding really exciting and rewarding is that there's all these people in our tennis community that are passionate about tennis and philanthropy, and they now have like a vehicle to put that energy into, right? So it's we have about 55 members now, over $675,000 committed in really 6 months. We got 501c3 status in April, so that's exciting. Everybody gets to the stage in their life. You're probably not there yet, but everybody gets to the stage of their life where they start to think about their legacy and how they want to be remembered, and it becomes more about giving back. And you can only collect so much, before you start to like give back. So I've reached that stage, and hopefully we can do some good things in the next decade or so.
Yeah, unfortunately, the flavor of the month thing is a real thing where like one generation retires and they're already on to the next. So I think it's an attention span issue. But
it's a problem, though. Yeah. It really is, because there's only, there's 80 living Hall of Famers. That's it. And probably 30 don't travel. They're too old or not, sort of not in space where they could travel. So, I've had a beef with the Grand Slams for 15 years about having a Hall of Famer badge. There should be a Hall of Famer badge. And the Hall of Famer that goes back to, because the problem also too, like if you think of Hall of Famers, like if you win the singles at whatever event, you have carte blanche. Like you win Wimbledon, Michael C goes back to Wimbledon. He's a Grand Slam obviously won Wimbledon, carte blanche. He goes to the U.S. Open, he has no access. French Open, no access. Australian Open, French Open just gave us access. French Open just gave all past players access to the president's suite. So now now I feel like I can go back to the French Open and enjoy myself. You basically stop going to these tournaments.
It should be like in other sports, like the story of the baseball manager. I'm pretty sure this is a true story, but the baseball manager Tony La Russa, who won all the World Series, and he couldn't get in. He just flashed his World Series rings. Like, is this access? Like, I feel like if you, especially
still
Hall of
not
Fame,
right.
Yeah, I know, especially Hall of Fame. But I'm glad you brought up your community in tennis.
Wait, let me just say one more thing about. Let me ask you one more thing. Do you know how many badges were issued at the U.S. Open last year?
No, I don't want to guess because I feel like it's not going to be a good number.
Give me a wild guess. Yeah, I told you my age, so I have to give you a number.
Badges, what, in general?
Just any people who had a badge. Staff, vendors, players, guests, lines people.
Wow. I mean, that's got to be in the thousands, right?
Yeah.
6,000?
42,000. Okay, so you can tell me that the U.S. Open cannot produce 50 Hall of Famer badges and give us some kind of special access. So anyway, that's my beef on that.
I just wanted to bring up the fact that you mentioned people playing tennis and finding community. We were talking on the last episode of the show about Stan Wawrinka, who said he's still going to play. And I thought his letter was perfect. He's like, I know I'm not going to win slams anymore. I'm in my 40s. My best tennis is behind me, but I still like setting goals and attaining them. And you played the pro life, but you see it every day in people that aren't pros that just love playing and getting better and setting attainable goals through tennis. Yeah,
definitely. And, that's commendable of him because for me and for a lot of great champions like he was, I mean, he's definitely a future Hall of Famer. Like it would be hard to not win all the time, and to go through that grind. But, and sometimes too is fear of the unknown and not knowing what retirement is like and maybe doesn't want to go through a transition, but he'll get there eventually.
Yeah. So your upbringing, we mentioned too at the start of it, from Puerto Rico, when there wasn't really not just tennis history, but athletic history hadn't really been written in a lot of ways. But your story is so fascinating researching you because you came from a really educated, pioneer field. But you were would you consider yourself the outcast, like the athlete outcast of the bunch? Like this is the girl that you referred to yourself as.
I was the college dropout in my high. Yeah, in my family, I was a college dropout. I mean, I do come from a line. Like, my grandmother was the first female dentist in Puerto Rico. Yeah. She graduated from UPenn in 1920. Like, this is before airplanes. So that was kind of random. My great uncle was Jose Ferrer, who won an Academy Award. So kind of random. I mean, I didn't feel special growing up. I was just a girl playing tennis in the park, basically. But, I was found by a college coach. Because the Puerto Rico Tennis Association was part of the United States Tennis Association, I could come to the U.S. and play summer tournaments. And I was discovered, I would still be in Puerto Rico if the PRTA wasn't part of the USTA.
So you taught yourself, essentially? Like tennis was kind of your
teachers. A little bit? There were some teachers. Luis Ayala, a former top 10 player, lived in Puerto Rico, was one of my early teachers.
Okay.
But the main teacher that was Wilby Van Horn. He developed Charlie Passerelle and a couple other past champions, but he wouldn't teach me because, I don't know, I was a girl or because I had a bad temper, one or the other.
One of those two? What everyone kind of interpret what that might be. But I think it's pretty cool too, right? Because your story and hearing other interviews with yourself, you weren't playing tennis like all the time. You were only playing it casually, like what some would consider it casually, yet still having success.
Definitely casually.
Was that when you realized kind of you had something because you're playing half as much but beating girls that are playing twice as much as you?
No, it was when I wwent to college that I had to play tennis every day that I first thought, okay, and I made the finals of the NCAAs, but when I played tennis every day, my game, as a freshman, my game went, I improved like mediocre. I mean, it's ridiculous how much I improved in that 1 year where I had to play tennis every day. Enough to make the finals of the NCAAs and lose to Beth Herr, who was ranked 27th in the world, 7-6 in the third. So before that, there was, like I said, there was in Puerto Rico, like there was no aspirations because there was not another Puerto Rican or another Hispanic even that I could say I want to be like her. There was no role models, and I just never thought of being a professional athlete growing up. People would tell me, but it was like, yeah, right, whatever.
Did you watch any pro tennis, or did you have any like inclination what the game was like when you were coming up?
So there was like a couple challenger tournaments in Puerto Rico that would come through the island. And when I was young, I think I was 14, I played in the doubles. I got a wild card into the doubles and lost first round, didn't do well or anything. But I did see, I remember Renee Richards, actually that's memorable. Renee Richards played in Puerto Rico, so I remember that. That was kind of controversial. She's, for people who don't know, Renee Richards, she was first transsexual or transgender athlete to play tennis, and this is in the 70s, right? So, so yeah, it's not something I aspired to, I would say, growing up.
But it's cool too. You saw that the person that you lost to in the finals of the NCAA in a really tight match is at Wimbledon, the following year, going on a run.
Yeah,
so that had to be a confidence.
6 months later.
6 months later.
6 weeks later. We played in May. This is in June, July. She's playing Billie Jean King in the round of 16, and she was beating her. And I'm like, oh my God, I almost beat that girl. And she's beating Billie Jean King. So maybe I actually have a shot. So then what I did was I went back to my coach, and I asked them if, when I came back to Clemson, if I could guarantee play number 1 spot, because I played number 2. And as the number 2 player, I only lost 2 matches all year. And I just really wanted more competition. So I wanted to be guaranteed that I played number 1. But the returning number 1 was a senior and I was a sophomore, right? So he couldn't guarantee it. He said I was going to have to play a challenge match. And I thought I earned it because I made the finals of the NCAA. The girl lost first round. Jane Foreman is her name. We're still friends. She was my doubles partner. Yeah. But yeah, I was like, I couldn't take the chance. So I took the fall off. And then after the fall, back in the day, the Australian Open was on grass at the end of the year in November. So that was my best surface. So I went to Australia and I played, I beat Steffi Graf, which was a big win, except for she was 12.
yeah, that's true.
And then when I finished the Australian swing, I was like 85 in singles and top 50 in doubles. So then I just never went back.
So do you feel, because some of these decisions you made were pretty big, like seismic, like some would say life altering your path.
Yeah.
But did you find that you could easily make decisions, like you didn't really get thought too much about it, or did you kind of struggle with it?
My dad made the decision.
Oh.
My dad decided for me. I couldn't decide because I remember sitting at the Indianapolis, U.S. Clay course in Indianapolis, struggling. I was crying. Didn't know what to do. My coach was putting pressure on me to make a decision. And so I called my dad and I was like, what do I do? And because basically I give up my scholarship, and that's a free education. So, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he said to me, that he said, you can always go back to school. And this is I was already 20. So it's like this is a time for you to be a professional athlete. So go for it. And I'll pay for your education whenever you decide to go back.
And you did go back to school.
He helped. I did go
eventually.
back, and he did hold up his end of the bargain. He sure did.
Yeah, I got that South Florida master's degree, and I look at it too, right?
And I just, but what? Yeah, I was just honored as USF Distinguished Alumni like 3 weeks ago, which was a very nice, unexpected, and rewarding achievement. It was pretty cool, actually, super fun.
Well, looking at your accolades, you won all those doubles titles, which I mentioned, gold medals, but it took some time. So I was looking at it. You turned pro, and then the first doubles major was in '88, I think. So what were those first couple of years? How did you stay the course when it was rocky as a pro and you weren't having success right away?
Oh, I was miserable. I was, because I hadn't lost much. I won all juniors in Puerto Rico and 2 age groups above, and then. Then when you turn pro, and then in college I did lose a lot, and then you turn pro and you lose every week twice, lose, singles, doubles, singles, doubles. So I was, I gained weight like everybody gains weight, or back then, maybe not anymore, but I was homesick, and I got to the '88 U.S. Open, and that was going to be my last Grand Slam. I was done. I was like, told my agent in the middle of the summer, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to go back to medical. I wanted to be a doctor, so I'm going to go to med school and be a doctor. So he said, okay, well, before you do that, why don't you go meet Dr. Jim Lair? And Jim's obviously famous sports psychologist. And he taught me 2 things. He taught me what to do between points. I had no routines, 0. So he taught me very specific routines to employ during points. And then he asked me if I could act. And I said, well, I don't know if I can act. I mean, maybe I could act because I was the grandniece of Jose Ferrer, right? So he said, I want you to act like you're having fun. I know you hate tennis, and I know at the end of this Grand Slam you're going to quit, but I want the people watching this girl play, when they see her play, that I want them to think that she's having a good time. And I said, fine, I'll try it. So I played the first match, and we lost 6-4 in the third. I mean, we won 6-4 in the third. And I came off the court, and he said, did you have any fun? And I said, oh, no. It's sick tennis after 4-all in the third. Tennis is stressful. It's not fun. So he said, okay, we'll do it the next match. And I did it the next match and won that. Did it the next match and won that. Did it the next match and won that. And now we're in the semifinals of the U.S. Open, playing the best team in the history of tennis, male or female. And who is that?
Martina and Pam. Martina and Pam.
Yes, good job. Yep. Martina and Pam. They had just finished a 108 match win streak. 108 match win streak. I mean, that is they won every double slam,
like 7 times, or I'm like 5 to 7 times.
They were so dominant. It was nobody was even close. So now we're playing them right after they've lost the streak, and we had no chance. I mean, we really shouldn't have never won this match, but we won. We won. Came off the court, and Jim says, "Are you having fun now?" I'm like, "Man, I'm having fun." I'm in the finals of the U.S. Open, and then we won. I won the U.S. Open, thinking that I was gonna quit. So that was the first time that I thought, okay, if I could figure this part out, then I have a shot.
So you had no like routines. It's fascinating talking to you because, and I want to know if you saw it this way. Did you see yourself as kind of a unicorn in the locker room? Like you were a little different than the rest of the women by just kind of how you handled yourself and how you were? I definitely
had a different upbringing. Being from Puerto Rico, I was extremely outspoken. I was touted the female McEnroe, which I don't know if I like or not. Probably don't. I was very, I used to pay my fines to the WTA before the year started because I knew I was going to get fined. And, I've never been a rule follower. So, yeah. But, in a way that's bad. I mean, when I look at the totality of my life, like, I'm not proud of it. And I don't have any friends from my life on tour. Like true friends, and it's very different now. I mean, I feel like players are friends now. I think social media really has had a positive impact on players being able to be friends, because in my day, you piss somebody off and that was it. You didn't talk to them for the rest of your life because you couldn't send them a text and say, "Hey, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean it." You have to confront them face to face, and that confronting somebody face to face is really difficult. So you have these grudges for life. I mean, I had a grudge with Hana Mandlikova for 20 years. And then I saw her after we were both retired, maybe 6 or 7 or 8 years after retiring. I was playing a senior event in Cincinnati at the Cincinnati Open. And my phone rings, and my phone rings on the hotel, not a cell phone. And I pick it up, and it's Hana. And she goes, "Hey, Gigi, do you want to have breakfast?" I'm like, "What? You haven't spoken to me in 20 years? You want to go have breakfast?" So we went to have breakfast, and she apologized. Yeah. She apologized for being so mean and all these things. But again, it's not something we couldn't have done by texting. It's so easy to text an apology, right? So
I think it's also the upbringing, and the social media is a big part of it, but the junior events organized, especially with the United States, these girls and guys know each other and they're familiar with each other. Yes. Back in maybe the day, you're discovering players like the fans are. Who is this player? You see him at an event. Now I feel like everyone knows the great players or the prodigies
since the
coming
juniors,
up earlier. So,
well, for me it was difficult too because I was Puerto Rican but also American, right? So I had that whole thing. Like I played Junior Davis Cup for the U.S. or Junior Fed Cup, whatever, Whiteman Cup, whatever for the U.S. But I'm still Puerto Rican, so I always had this. Like the Americans didn't know if I was part of them or not, and the Latins were like, "Well, she's American," so I was sort of in a silo, pretty much.
Did you ever get any money back when you made your down payment for fines, or was it always
no,
no money back?
I didn't get any money back.
We got more with Gigi Fernandez here on the Inside in Tennis podcast, talking to the Hall of Famer, 17-time major doubles champ, about her career approach to things and her Foundation for Hope. The Tennis Foundation for Hope is just doing great stuff, as is the case for her in her post-tennis life. But, when that doubles career started to take off, Gigi, It was interesting because I'm looking at the list, right? You played with a couple different partners, Robin White, Martina, Yana Novotná, the late great Yana Novotná, and then it was Natasha Zvereva, who you won the majority
Yeah.
of your titles with, the last 14. How did that partnership come to be? And how do you know when you find somebody special that just clicks and can accomplish great things?
Yeah, so my partnership with Natasha was very unique in that it came in a time in the geopolitical phase of the world where it could happen because the wall the wall came, the perennial wall, right? The Cold War ended, the wall came down in 89.
Hmm.
Before the wall came down, the Russians could only play with the Russians.
Yeah.
So they used to actually in 90 and 91, the Russians could still only play with the Russians. And there was KGB with them wherever they went. They traveled in a pack and KGB followed them around. So I was the first non-Russian partner that Natasha had. And how the partnership happened was our coaches. We were at the Light and Lively tournament here in Saddlebrook, Florida, and the coaches got together and said, "We think you guys should play together." We're like, "Sure, why not?" So we played our first tournament. I'm trying to think if we won. Our first Grand Slam for sure we won was the French Open. We played a lead up tournament in Hamburg. I don't think we won that one, but we won the French, and then we won the next six Grand Slams. So at that point, this is the partnership, right? You're going to
I think
stick
that's
to
good.
this
Yeah.
one. So yeah, we were incredibly lucky to be in the right place at the right time and committed to the partnership through the ups and downs. It's definitely ups and downs. So we have 14 Grand Slams in 5 years, which is kind of crazy. It's a lot of Grand Slams in a short period of time. And I think we probably took it for granted, where I
Mhm.
thought it was normal to win 2 or 3 Grand Slams a year. But yeah, it was pretty unique.
Yeah, that is such a short period. I mean, there's only 20 in that. I could do math a little bit. So you won 14 out of 20 slams in that period.
Yeah.
And there wasn't really any downtime or down times, but finding a partner that not only you get along with on the court and can play with, but you have to spend time with them outside of the court. I feel like talking to doubles players, past and present, that's the big thing. No matter how we play together, we have to get along because we're literally spending all this time with the same person.
Yeah, and we got along. She had her own coaching group, and I had my own
Hmm.
coaching group. She had her own life. I had my own life. She was playing singles. I was playing singles, not as well as her, but still, I would
Hmm.
win a couple rounds at tournaments and majors. Um, so we had a mentor. We had a person that was really instrumental. That Julie Anthony was my coach at the time, and she
Hmm.
was a great communicator, and was really instrumental in maintaining the communication between her and I. Also had a We also had a therapist,
Hmm.
Herb Hampshire, the late Herb Hampshire, who was my psychologist, sports
Yeah.
psychologist. He used to come to the Grand Slams, and we had therapy sessions. We literally would sit down and duke it out like a married couple, and that's really the only way to get through
Yeah.
some of these things because it's a high pressure environment. I mean, it's a pressure cooker, when you're on the
Yeah.
top and trying to win Grand Slams and people are trying to
Yeah.
beat you and trying to bring you down. And so yeah, I think the fact that we were, well, I'll probably me more so than her, open about sharing what was going on.
Yeah.
And for her, it's like, for Natasha, she never took anything personal. She's
Right.
like the type of person that thinks she could just let things go and move on. And I think that's why we're so good and why we're still friends.
Totally. Did you feel like at that time too, balancing, because your singles career, I mean, you were number 17 in the world, Wimbledon semi. Was there challenges balancing both? We see it today. We saw the Italian Jasmine Paolini is playing both in the tour finals. So there's still players that balance both, but how were the challenges for you trying to play both singles and doubles?
Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, I think the schedule's different now. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like the schedule's more conducive to that now. Like, because there's more time between, and they have these 10-day events. So that
Mm.
when you have a 10-day event, then there's like 4 days in between. But
Yeah.
when we used to play week-long events, and I would play, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm playing doubles, and then Monday, either Sunday night or Monday morning, I'm flying, and Tuesday I'm playing singles. Now I just spent the last 3 days hitting cross-court shots, inside out
Mhm.
backhands, and whatever, inside out forehands. And now I got to go cover the whole court and play singles, and that transition I found really difficult. Um, so I don't know. I mean, I think would I have done better in singles if I wasn't so good at doubles? I don't know. I mean, my sort of self assessment on why I wasn't better at singles was that I didn't have the background. I didn't have the background in the backgrounds, right? I didn't hit enough balls growing up. I didn't hit enough forehands, enough backhands. Like I literally turned pro with a slice forehand and a slice backhand, which is crazy. I mean, I actually in college developed a flat forehand, but in Puerto Rico, coaches would not teach girls topspin because we weren't strong enough. So I had a slice backhand when I turned pro, and I had to learn how to hit topspin while on tour. So when you're trying to hit shots under pressure and don't have that, you know, I didn't hit a million balls of these shots. So I could never hang in the baseline with the great baseliners. So, you know, then comes somebody like Monica Seles, who was standing 2 feet inside the baseline to return my serve. So then I couldn't serve and volley because I literally finished hitting my serve and took 2 steps and the ball was already coming back. So there was no solution for that, right? So so I think then I gravitated more towards doubles because I was winning more, but I still was, you know, 17 in the world in singles, and I played every year singles until the last year. My last year on tour, I only played doubles.
Yeah, Seles is someone I don't think the current generations understand how good she was. It's just, it's incredible. Like what she accomplished at such a young age too.
Yeah, and if she hadn't had that unfortunate incident, she would have won 10 more Grand Slams probably.
Yeah. Well, that'd be cool to you, Gigi, to go into the Hall of Fame with Natasha same year, 2010, the same class. They didn't mess that. The voters didn't mess that one up.
No. Well, yeah, I don't know if we were voted. You know, I wonder if we were. God, I don't know. I should know this. I'm the chairperson of the board of the Hall of Fame. Whether we won it as a team or individuals, because the Woodies got in at the same time. So I think we won it as a team, or the vote was as a team. You know, I wasn't part of the voting group then, so I wouldn't have known. But yeah, it was a good year with the Woodies, and also Owen Davidson also got in that year.
Did you get to a point, though, when your career was winding down where you kind of knew it was time to pack it in, or was it a gradual process to retire?
So the retirement decision was kind of a little bit forced, I would say. You know, at the end of 96, I retired at the end of 97, but at the end of 96, Natasha and I stopped playing together, and it was more her. I think 96 was a bit of a mutual decision. We had won 12 Grand Slams up to that point, and we only won 1 that year. And we were, you know, it was a strained relationship like it tends to happen. But I think it was more on her side than mine. So then when the year started in 97, I was playing with Arantxa, and Arantxa was a great player. And this is the biggest mistake I've made in my career was I had to pick between Arantxa and Hingis. And Arantxa was more established, older. You know, I already played with Hingis and won a tournament, but it was a small tournament. And I picked Arantxa, and unfortunately, we're both outside players. And if I had picked Hingis, I probably would have won 10 Grand Slams with Hingis. But with Arantxa, it didn't work, right? So halfway through the year in April, I went back to Natasha, and I was like, why don't you just like play with me for the rest? We'll finish this year together, and I'll retire at the end of 97. So I didn't want to start. Okay, so then we play, and then we win the French. We win Wimbledon, and we made the finals of the U.S. Open. And now we're like, I don't know, 4 or 5 Grand Slams from tying Martina and Pam for most Grand Slams in history. So I say to her, why don't we keep playing? Like, let's keep playing and see if we can break this record. And she was like, didn't want to. She wanted to play with Lindsay. And I said, okay, fine. I mean, Lindsay's a great player, but it was not a great partner for her because there was no finisher. Like, they were both setters. So then I had to decide at the end of 97, do I want to retire, or do I want to find a new partner again? Right. And I just done that in 96. I just got in a relationship with Jane Geddes, my now wife of 28 years, or wife of however many, but we've been together for 20 years. She's a professional golfer. So I was like, I'll just retire. I just kept thinking, okay, I've won 17 Grand Slams. How is my life going to change if I win 18 or 19? Like, it's just not. So I was burnt out. I just wanted to be in the same bed for more than a week. And I just decided that was it.
That's a mature approach, right? Like knowing that success, one more slam isn't going to affect your overall life. And I think you had a quote too, if I remember reading, where you understood too, tennis players' lives aren't like real life. Like it's not what is considered normal. It's fake.
It's not normal. It's fake life.
because, and you can expand on that, it's because you're just going country to country. You're not setting up really any roots. You're playing, you're leaving, you're playing, you're leaving. That's not what the rest of society experiences at all 11 months a year.
You live in this bubble of people traveling from one place to the next, traveling circus or traveling bubble, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's very hard for people on the outside to go into your bubble. And, you don't live by normal world norms, like standing in lines or, making reservations at restaurants that are booked, like, I don't know, it's just not normal. Yeah. I mean, the life of a pro athlete, I think most people would agree, it's not normal. It's very, 0.00001% of the population, right?
Yeah.
So, so I just decided that I wanted to started to have normal life. Now, in hindsight, I wish I played a little bit longer because I was 34 or I was 33 when I retired. I was going to turn 34 in February. And the money in the next 6 years went double, like literal double. And then it's doubled probably 3 more times, right? But again, I was like, I just don't know how my life is going to change. And I figured it was time to do something else.
Did you have a tough time? I don't want to say like reintegrating back into society, but I think of that movie Hurt Locker where it's the military guy where he's in the grocery store and he's like having a tough time. Was it tough for you to go back to the real world?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I think it's hard. People might not admit it, but I think it's in some ways it's hard for people who actually transition back into the normal world, because some people are still living in that world. And there's some of our greatest champions still have that stature, right? Where they can still be that spoiled and that oblivious to normal life, normal life norms, right? But yeah, I struggled at first. I struggled finding an identity that was not Gigi Fernandez, the tennis player. And I worked really hard to try to be something else. I started, I don't know how many businesses I started that failed, and just searching for things to do and searching for things to do. And then finally, I got my MBA, so that helped. So I could figure out how to run a business without failing. But then in 2012, I went back into tennis. It was where I sort of, after a long hike. So first when I retired, I did coach. I coached Puerto Rican Fed Cup team, and I coached at USF. I was a tennis coach at the University of South Florida. So maybe 3 or 4 years after I quit, I was still involved in tennis. And then I just took a giant break. I became a mom. And when I started coaching became the director of tennis at Chelsea Piers. And that was the first time that I discovered the other side of tennis, which is the social part of tennis. Like, tennis is social and it's fun. It's not cutthroat and it's not people trying to be professional athletes. Made some of my best friends today are from tennis after retiring. So I discovered that part of tennis, which is super fun and rewarding.
Yeah, no, it's now you probably look back at that question, right? That Jim Ware asked you, like, are you having fun? It's like, yeah, actually, this is pretty fun. It's not, the stress isn't there, and you can still have fun with the game.
Exactly. And you help people get better, which I'm a teacher at heart, and I have that sort of giving back gene. So I have fun with it.
A few more things with Gigi Fernandez here on the Inside in Tennis podcast, talking to the Hall of Famer and someone that's made a difference on and off the court. 17 slams, also has her MBA. But I want to ask you, about Tennis for Hope Foundation, because it's a new foundation started this year under unfortunate circumstances. Hurricane Helene, which just ravaged the Florida area. We saw the destruction, but that happened in January. Your house was flooded. What enabled you to take that brave call? Obviously, people were in need, Gigi, but why and when exactly did you take that brave call to help others and start this foundation?
Yeah, so it's funny because I left the U.S. Open. The hurricane was September 27th, and I left the U.S. Open 2 weeks before. And it was the first time that I left a tournament and I felt 100% happy. I had a great time at that particular U.S. Open. I had access, when I went to matches, I was in the president's suite most of the time, or I was invited to suites. I had a great time. And that was the first, because remember I said, players don't feel welcome when they go back. So I decided that I needed to do more to give back to tennis, that I wasn't doing enough. I'm on the board of the Hall of Fame. I've been for 8 years. I'm vice chairman of the board. So that's sort of the extent of my give back to tennis.
Yeah.
And with with the Gigi Method, I've been teaching players how to play doubles and teaching teachers at conventions, speaking about how to, but I just still didn't feel like it was enough. So I woke up one morning and I said, I'm going to have a foundation. I'm going to call it Tennis for Hope. And at that point, that's all I knew. Now, 2 weeks later, the hurricanes hit. Mm-hmm. And I was like devastated, obviously. I mean, everything that touched the Florida one-story house was gone. 2 cars and all the furniture, all the clothes, everything. Just think of everything that touches the ground on a house. So for about a month and a half, I was pretty depressed. And then I just sort of came, I needed something to kick me off this mode that I was in. And it's like, okay, I'm going to dedicate to the foundation. I'm going to start and it was because seeing how many people weren't as lucky as I was, because, within 3 days I had a contractor in the house starting to rebuild. I mean, first of all, I posted something on Instagram the day it happened, and there was literally 30 people in my house the next day, taking all the stuff out, taking everything out, which is the first thing you have to do, right? Putting anything in the curb. Because, so because I saw how lucky I was that I could start fixing right away, and I didn't have to wait for insurance checks to arrive, and, I had the wherewithal to go through all the things you have to go through, FEMA applications and the insurance, and it was so overwhelming, and there's so many things to do, that I just decided that's what Tennis for Hope is going to do. And I reached out to 3 people: Marianne Wardell, former pro, John Erickson, who is a former CFO of a Fortune 500 company, who's a board member, and Amanda Mason, who is an attorney. 3 really people dear friends, that I hold very close to my heart. And they all said yes. So we're the 4 officers, and we started recruiting people and raising money. And it's been crazy. Like, we have, like I said, we have 55 members now. And the membership model is 3-year commitment. You either commit $1,000, $5,000, or $10,000 per year for 3 years. And you join this community of people who are, invested in tennis and philanthropy and helping others. So we gave $15,000 to a club in Asheville that was still suffering from Hurricane Helene last year. We gave $50,000 to LA Fires. We're giving $50,000 to 2 clubs in Florida that still need help from last year's hurricanes. Yeah. And then we're doing 3 big things right now. We're raising money for the camps in Central Texas. There was 3 camps that lost their courts. Mm-hmm. We have about $300,000 in grant applications for that. And then we're doing Rally for Jamaica, trying to help people in Jamaica. And then next year we're doing an event called Rally for Florida, which is it's going to be a statewide fundraiser where clubs we're partnering with Bracket Wars. And do you know Racket Wars? They're famous tennis rec players. Everybody listen to this probably knows what Racket Wars is. Okay. It's a group that does these tennis events. They're called Racket Wars, and they're very well organized, and they have this unique format that they run their events in. So we're partnering with them to do 1-day fundraisers at different clubs throughout the state. And then at the end of the year in November, all the state winners are going to go to the national campus and do Crown the Champion of Hope. So every club that participates will be part of this effort to raise money to continue to help clubs in Florida that are still not recovered from 2 years ago. And there'll be another hurricane, right? So also in partnership with the USDA Foundation, USDA Florida Foundation on that. So it's been very rewarding. It's a lot of work. I didn't realize how much work. I'm trying to slow down. Like, I'm trying to really slow down, and I thought I'll start this foundation and not have to work as much. But now I work harder on the foundation than I do on my events.
Another thing I've heard tennis players say, it's like, I didn't know what it's like to have a real job. It's kind of crazy.
It's a lot of work.
But it's commendable. It's more than commendable, all the great work you've done with Tennis for Hope. Unfortunately, the timing was perfect, right? There was just a lot of disasters and people needed help. And, it says a lot about the equity you built into this game, that you got people to work with you based on the equity you built up, your character, but also the inroads you made in the game. So that's, very cool that you're willing to put yourself out there like this when you don't have to, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing these camps and clinics for 10 years. I've traveled around the country, visiting clubs. I have this goal to hit all 50 states. Yeah. Did you know that?
No. How many do you have right now?
I'm at 38. I have 12 to go.
That seems a little
So
low for
someday
a tennis player, but I don't know for a
to
pro
do
tennis
what?
player. So is it hit all 50? Like
No,
in
it's teach. To
teach all
teach at
50?
all
Okay,
50.
okay.
Yeah,
38's
I
good
probably,
then. Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, I'm making inroads.
Okay.
So I try to do one or two a year, but so, and then through those clinics, people come to camps. My camps are 3 or 4 days and get to know people better. So it's from
Okay.
this group of people, like every person that is a member of Tennis for Hope, I know, I came to a
Mm-hmm.
camp, came to a clinic. I developed a relationship with over the years.
Yeah.
So it's been really rewarding.
Yeah. Well, it's been rewarding to follow you as well. And you mentioned the Gigi method. I just wanted to bring that up because I saw you talking about it on the Tennis Channel Second Serve show. And it's great. It's just a very straightforward approach to doubles where,
Yeah.
look, you don't have a serve like pro players do. Here's my advice. I thought it was great. So I thought it was very direct and realistic, I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, I think the mistake that pros make when they teach is that they teach A, how they play, or B, what they see on TV, right? And you can't do that because most mere mortals, including me now, don't have the skills of a pro. So you have to teach to the level, right?
Yeah.
So what the Gigi method was that, I developed that when I was working at Chelsea Piers, and I was teaching their players from 3-0 to 5-0. And the reason that I created myself as the director of tennis, right? So I'm supposed to be the know-it-all of the place. And people would come to me and say, okay, Joe is telling me that when I get lobbed, I should switch and stay. And Peter's telling me that when I get lobbed, I should switch and go back. Which one is it? I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about that. So we, I kind of created it with the pros that were there because we would have these debates and, and then of course I would win most debates because I know too much. I know too much about doubles, right?
Yeah.
And I know I do know how to cover the doubles court. There's one correct way to cover the doubles court and many incorrect ways. And there's good positioning and bad positioning. And, for me, it's black and white. Like it's funny when, teaching recreational players, most people don't know what a low percentage shot is. Like they don't know the difference between high percentage and low percentage. They'll try these shots and I'm like, did you just try that like overhead lob drop shot? Like, what was that? They're like, yeah, I thought I could hit it. No, that's not a shot. And if you're going to pull it off 1 out of 100 times, you shouldn't be trying it. So that's what it is. It's really try to simplify the role of a player. I mean, it's very specific what your responsibility is within a point, whether you're the setter or the finisher, whether you're, cross from the ball or in front of the ball. There's has very specific rules about what you should be doing. And people have taken to it and really improved. And that's the measure of whether it works or not is people are improving, right?
They really have. Yeah. It's great to see, of course. Gigi Fernandez, this has been a pleasure. Proud Puerto Rican as well. I mentioned it at the start, like athlete of the century, tremendous honor, and then seeing where it's come, 2 Puerto Rican gold medalists in that time since, Monica Puig in tennis, of course. So it's been kind of cool to see. It has to be cool from your perspective to see the country have athletic success now following your footsteps.
Absolutely. That's one of my proudest moments in my life was carrying the Puerto Rican flag into the Pan Am Games in 1983. I still have that unfortunate, I wish people would just get over it and everybody would accept it. But I still have a lot of haters in Puerto Rico because I won the gold medals for the U.S. I don't think it's ever going to change, but I've just come to terms with it and just let it go and accept that the world is political in nature and 50% of the island is going to hate me for the rest of their life, and that's fine.
That's how it is. That's life. 50 good, 50 bad. Just keep moving forward. Anything else coming up before I let you go? Anything else with Tennis for Hope or any other endeavors you got?
Yeah, I'm going to the Virgin Islands in 3 weeks with a group, so that should be super fun. We are going to. I went on a safari in 20 with the. Did you know about the Mackerel Safari?
I've heard vaguely about it, but I was a little scared to ask questions.
A couple years ago, so I think we're just trying to do that. I think we're going to put that in the schedule for the summer of 27. But next year I'll have the Italian Open, Wimbledon, and the induction. The induction is going to be super fun. It's Roger's induction. So
officially, we think he's going to get in.
Officially, there's not official. It's not official. But I'm really curious to know if anybody else gets in. I'm super curious to know. And I don't know. I think we're going to hear, what's today? November 4th. Yeah, I think mid-November is when we're supposed to hear.
Well, Gigi Fernandez, great to chat with you. She tried to get me on a trivia question, but Pam Shriver would have killed me if I wouldn't have got that right.
Yeah.
She would not have been happy with me if I would have got that wrong.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
tremendous work with all that you do. Love that you're still involved with the game as a player of your stature, a Hall of Famer. Tennis for Hope is very inspiring. So best of luck with the foundation and everything else. And thanks for coming on the Inside In Tennis podcast.
Yeah. So one last thing I'll leave you with. If you're going to be if anybody's going to be in Indian Wells, we're doing a foundation event on Sunday, March 8th at La Quinta, and it's open to members and non-members. The Bryan brothers are playing, and their band is going to play. So you're at the La Quinta Resort Sunday, the middle Sunday. Come out to La Quinta, and we'll get to hang out and dance with the Bryan brothers.
Yeah, play some tennis, dance a little bit.
Would you like to come? Would you
Maybe.
like to come?
I have to work on my dance routine. I saw the Hall of Fame ceremony. I don't know if you were on the stage, but I saw some of that, and I was like, I don't know. It's kind of a party when they were playing, so I'll have to stretch. I'll have to stretch before.
Yeah, wait, are you working Indian Wells?
I move around a little bit, so maybe I'll be down there.
If you're there, come on by.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on down if you're there. We'd love
Gigi,
to have
this was a pleasure, though. I really do appreciate you taking the time to come on the show, so thank you again.
Thank you.
That was Gigi.
Thanks, Mitch.
Of course, that was Gigi Fernandez. This was the Inside In Tennis podcast. Appreciate everybody out there for listening or watching the show. We're on all your podcast platforms, so go to Apple, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well at Mitch Michals for the full video episodes. So appreciate everybody. Thanks to Gigi Fernandez. Thanks to all the listeners and viewers. We're back in a few days with more tennis content with outstanding guests. This was the Inside In Tennis podcast. I'll talk to you next time. Take care, everyone.